The year was 1961. The world trembled at the dawn of the Cold War. Unbeknownst to the masses, a different kind of war brewed in the shadows. A war for scientific dominance. A war that created the Hulk. Not Bruce Banner's Hulk. This one was different. This one was intentional. This one was cold and calculating. This one was Tyrone Cash, the original Hulk. Someone that came before the Bruce Banner Hulk. Before the gamma rays, before the rage, there was a man named Leonard Williams. A man of unparalleled intellect, but trapped within a frail and failing body. He craved strength, power, the means to reshape the world. He would find it not in gamma radiation, but in a twisted variation of the super soldier serum. A serum that would rewrite his destiny and unleash a new breed of monster upon the world.
Leonard Williams was a genius. He was a celebrated professor at Cambridge University, his mind a labyrinth of complex equations and groundbreaking theories. He was Bruce Banner's mentor, teaching Banner how to recreate the soldier's super serum. Yet his body was his prison, a prison of weak flesh and brittle bones. He watched, frustrated, as athletes dominated arenas while he toiled away in his lab. He yearned to break free from his physical limitations. Williams saw potential beyond the limits of human capability. He delved into forbidden texts, ancient alchemical secrets, and cutting-edge biotechnology. He sought not just to transcend his weakness, but to redefine the very meaning of power. His pursuit led him down a dangerous path. A path that would cost him his humanity, but grant him the strength he so desperately craved.
The whispers started in hushed tones within the halls of power. Project Tyrone Cash, a top-secret initiative shrouded in secrecy and fueled by Cold War paranoia. The goal? To create the ultimate weapon, a super soldier capable of infiltrating enemy lines and turning the tide of war. Leading the project from the shadows was Leonard Williams. Williams saw an opportunity, a chance to not only serve his country, but to finally shatter the chains of his own mortality. He subjected himself to the experimental serum, a cocktail of mutagenic compounds and nanites designed to enhance his physique and rewrite his genetic code. The transformation was agonizing, a crucible that tested the limits of his mind and body. But when the dust settled, Leonard Williams was no more. In his place stood Tyrone Cash.
Gone was the frail academic. In his place stood a titan of raw power. Tyrone Cash was a force of nature unleashed upon the world. His initial missions for the government were swift and brutal. He dismantled enemy operations with chilling efficiency. But Cash craved more than just being a blunt instrument. He wanted control. He wanted power. Cash saw the flaws in the system, the corruption that festered within the institutions he served. He realized true power lay not in following orders, but in giving them. He broke free from his government handlers, disappearing into the criminal underworld. He used his intellect and newfound strength to manipulate gangs, topple kingpins, and establish his own empire. He became a ghost story whispered in fear, the boogeyman, the unstoppable Tyrone Cash.
Clash of the Titans. News of Cash's exploits reached the highest levels of authority. His actions were not just petty crimes, they were calculated moves that threatened global stability. Nick Fury, director of S.H.I.E.L.D., recognized the threat Cash posed. He knew that this was no ordinary adversary. Cash was a force to be reckoned with, a menace that could not be ignored. He was more than just a superpowered thug. Cash was a mastermind, a villain with a vision, and the resources to make it a reality. He was a strategist, a master manipulator who could destabilize entire nations with a single move. His intellect was as dangerous as his physical prowess, making him a dual threat, retaining the supermind and mentality in addition to super strength and body. Fury assembled a team to bring Cash down. This was not just any team. It was a coalition of the best and brightest, each member a specialist in their own right. A team of specialists equipped with experimental weaponry and led by Colonel Nick Fury's most trusted weapon, War Machine. War Machine, with his advanced armor and arsenal, was the linchpin of this operation. The battle shook the city to its core. Buildings trembled, and the ground quaked as the two titans clashed. War Machine unleashed the full might of his armored arsenal, but Cash shrugged off each attack. His resilience was astounding, and it seemed nothing could penetrate his defenses. Bullets bounced harmlessly off his skin. It was as if he was invincible, a living fortress that could not be breached. Missiles detonated around him, leaving him scorched but unbroken. The sheer force of the explosions would have decimated any other being, but Cash stood tall amidst the chaos. He fought with a calculated ferocity, turning War Machine's own weapons against him. His combat skills were unparalleled, and he used every opportunity to gain the upper hand. Just when it seemed like Cash would claim victory, shield reinforcements arrived, forcing him to retreat. The tide of the battle shifted, and Cash knew he had to withdraw. But this was far from over. He had tasted the might of Earth's mightiest heroes, and he craved more. This was just the beginning of a larger conflict, one that would test the limits of both sides.
A deal with the devil. Cash knew he couldn't defeat S.H.I.E.L.D. head-on. Not yet. He needed more power, more influence. The odds were stacked against him, and he was acutely aware of his limitations. He had to bide his time, gather his strength, and find an ally who could help him tip the scales in his favor. So he made a deal with the devil himself. It was a risky move, one that could either catapult him to new heights or drag him down into the abyss. But Cash was willing to take that risk. The enigmatic and manipulative Norman Osborn, the Green Goblin, saw potential in Cash. Osborn was always on the lookout for individuals who could be molded and used to further his own ambitions. He recognized a kindred spirit in Cash, someone who was willing to do whatever it took to achieve his goals. He offered him a place at his side, a chance to reshape the world in their image. It was an offer that was hard to refuse, a partnership that promised power and influence beyond Cash's wildest dreams. Cash, ever the pragmatist, accepted. He knew that aligning himself with Osborn was a double-edged sword, but he was confident in his ability to navigate the treacherous waters ahead. Osborn provided Cash with resources, technology, and access to his vast network of contacts. These were tools that Cash could use to build his own empire, to carve out a place for himself in a world dominated by powerful players. Cash, in turn, became Osborn's enforcer, his problem solver. He was the one who got his hands dirty, who did the things that Osborn couldn't be seen doing. He eliminated rivals, secured assets, and spearheaded covert operations. His actions were instrumental in consolidating Osborn's power and expanding his influence. He played a key role in Osborn's rise to power, becoming his most trusted lieutenant. But even as he served Osborn, Cash was always looking for opportunities to advance his own agenda. But Cash never forgot his own ambitions. He was always planning, always scheming, always looking for the next move that would bring him closer to his ultimate goal. He was playing a dangerous game, using Osborn as a stepping stone to achieve his own goals. It was a high-stakes gamble, but Cash was willing to bet everything on his ability to come out on top.
The walls close in. Cash's ruthlessness knew no bounds. His ambition was insatiable, and his methods were merciless. He orchestrated massacres, toppled governments, and sowed chaos across the globe. No corner of the world was safe from his reach, and no one was beyond his influence. He became a phantom, appearing and disappearing at will, leaving a trail of destruction in his wake. His movements were unpredictable, his motives inscrutable, but his actions did not go unnoticed. S.H.I.E.L.D., led by the relentless Nick Fury, was always one step behind, gathering evidence, piecing together the puzzle of Cash's grand scheme. They analyzed every clue, every fragment of information, determined to bring him to justice. As Cash's power grew, so did his paranoia. He saw enemies in every shadow, threats in every corner. He trusted no one, not even Osborn. His inner circle was a web of suspicion and deceit, each member wary of the other. He surrounded himself with loyal followers, handpicked from the most ruthless criminals he could find. These were men and women who thrived on chaos, who lived for the thrill of destruction. He fortified his strongholds, anticipating the inevitable confrontation with the heroes he had so deftly evaded. His lairs were impenetrable fortresses, equipped with the latest technology and guarded by his most trusted lieutenants. He was a king on a throne of lies, his reign built on violence and deceit. His empire was vast, but it was also fragile, held together by fear and treachery, and the walls were closing in. Every move he made, every step he took, brought him closer to his inevitable downfall. The pressure was mounting, and soon there would be no escape.
Betrayal's sting. What Cash didn't anticipate was betrayal. It came from the one person he thought he could trust, his lover and confidant, Monica Rappaccini, also known as AIM's Scientist Supreme. She had grown weary of his callous disregard for human life, his single-minded pursuit of power. Secretly, she had been feeding information to S.H.I.E.L.D., hoping to bring him down before he could inflict any more pain. The betrayal cut deep. It shattered the illusion of control Cash had so carefully constructed. He had underestimated the depths of human emotion, blinded by his own ambition. His rage, always simmering beneath the surface, threatened to consume him. But he held it in check, knowing an outburst would play right into his enemy's hands.
The Executioner. The raid on Cash's fortress was swift and brutal. S.H.I.E.L.D. agents, backed by War Machine and a squadron of elite operatives, stormed the compound. Cash fought back with the ferocity of a cornered animal, his strength amplified by his desperation. But he was outnumbered, outgunned, and betrayed. As he lay there, defeated and exposed, Cash finally understood the price of his ambition. He had sacrificed everything, his humanity, his relationships, his very soul, in pursuit of power. And in the end, it had all been for nothing. War Machine stood over him, his visor glowing an ominous red. Cash closed his eyes, accepting his fate.
Legacy of the Black Hulk. The world breathed a sigh of relief when news of Cash's death spread. The reign of the Black Hulk was over. But his legacy lived on. His actions had a ripple effect, destabilizing governments, empowering criminal organizations, and leaving a scar on the global landscape. Tyrone Cash became a cautionary tale, a reminder of the seductive nature of power and the devastating consequences of unchecked ambition. He was a symbol of the darkness that lurked within humanity, a testament to the fact that even the most brilliant minds could be corrupted by their own desires.
A twisted reflection. In the annals of history, Tyrone Cash stands as a dark reflection of the heroic ideal. Like Captain America, he was a product of scientific experimentation imbued with extraordinary abilities. But while Captain America used his power for good, Cash succumbed to his darker impulses. He serves as a reminder that power in the wrong hands can be a weapon of mass destruction. The story of Tyrone Cash is not just a superhero tale, it is a reflection of the human condition, of the constant struggle between our better angels and our basest desires. It is a story that will continue to resonate long after the last page is turned.